Hi there. Welcome to your Love Talk. So glad that you have tuned in to this episode today. For those of you who follow me each week, thank you so much. If you have not yet subscribed to this podcast, please remember to do so. If you enjoy the episodes, please remember to like it. So today, I'm going to be having Martin Pytela, who is the CEO of a health coaching business called Life Enthusiast and a superfood manufacturing business called Exsula. Martin became a health coach after overcoming serious health issues. He was determined to reclaim his well-being, so he embarked on a path of self-discovery about holistic healing. With this newfound knowledge, Martin invested over $100,000 in his journey toward restoration and launched his career to help others in their healing journey. Listen to Martin as he shares his story. I am so excited, Martin, that you have joined the podcast today.
I'm actually excited also. I think it's a really cool thing when people get to meet and find out about each other and let the world see what is.
I love that. I agree. So,
Yeah.
Martin, someone reached out to me. They told me a little bit about you. They sent me, a little bit about your bio as well as your website. And so you are the CEO of a company called Life Enthusiast. Is that right?
Sure.
So if you can talk a little bit about what that is.
Right. Back in 2002, when I was ready to give up being a management consultant for a living, I decided to consult for myself. And so I started an online business. Back then, it was early on.
Hmm.
And the business I came up with was let's help people heal, because I had plenty of damage done to me, mainly at the hands of iatrogenic, as in medical system hurt me
Yeah.
and wouldn't fix me, and I had to fix myself. And I thought are going to be many people in shoes like mine, and sure enough, there are.
Hmm.
And so Life Enthusiast was started with the aim of, and that's our tagline, restoring vitality to you and to the planet.
Love that.
And I think it's the industrial age practices that are wrecking the environment and wrecking us in the process. And I think it's the misapplication of technology that is causing us trouble. I'm not hating technology. I'm not hating a knife. I can use it to slice my bread or slice my steak or slice my hand off.
Okay.
I'm not hating fire. It can burn me or it can cook my food.
Hmm.
Technology, I'm not anti-technology,
Okay.
but misapplication of technology, I'm very much against.
Mm.
So that's Life Enthusiast as such. And we represent about 60 different companies,
Oh,
all
wow.
of which are mostly run by their founders or owners. So, and that's intentional, because I believe that companies that are run by owners are run for passion and for results rather than for financial benefit. Once the owner retires and goes away, all that's left over is the spreadsheet and bottom line.
Mm.
And I'm going after quality, helping people.
I like that.
Yeah.
And I like that. So you mentioned that you went through your own medical issues. So can you
Oh,
talk a
yeah.
little bit about that?
Yep. Yeah. When I was 25, I walked into a dentist's office and I said, I haven't had a checkup in 2 years. And they said, do you have insurance? And I said, yes, I do,
Mhm.
proudly.
Mhm.
And little did I know that it was, here he is for fleecing. And so they did these x-rays and showed me on x-rays that I needed a whole bunch of repairs, not just one.
Okay.
It's bizarre. Why did all the other remaining teeth never need any work? But anyway, they said you need 12 fillings. And I
Oh,
said, okay.
12? Wow. Okay.
And and they said, so you can have the silver ones or the white ones. And I said, is there any difference? And they said the silver ones will last twice as long, and the white ones look prettier and don't last as long and cost you extra. And I said, any other difference? And they said no.
Okay.
So I said, silver it is. Well, silver mercury amalgam is the most toxic things that you can put into a human body. Mercury, you may have heard, is dangerous to everything in your body. But so I got a dozen fillings, and then I started a really steep decline. Everything that could have gone wrong started going wrong. My back went. I started with carpal tunnel syndrome and plantar fasciitis and back going out, headaches. What else did I get? Allergies, periodontal disease, weight
Mhm.
gain, all kinds of dysregulations. And later on, really bad, like suicidal dark moods.
Oh my.
So like that. And I've had like every few months, my back would go out, and that would have me sleeping face down on a rocking chair and crawling on all fours from the chair to the toilet, and then crawling back. And it would take maybe 2, 3 weeks, and then it would kind of slowly get better, and I could walk again.
Oh
Anyways, life like that, right? Not great.
no. So Martin, did you figure out that it was associated with getting the fillings?
Well, first I went to the orthopedic surgeon to help me with the plantar fasciitis,
Okay.
and he gave me a cortisone shots.
Mm.
And for 6 weeks, I was feeling fine.
Okay.
And then it wore off, and I felt worse than before.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went see a chiropractor. Thank God for that. They helped me put me back together, but
Mm-hmm.
I had to keep coming back because I would last 3 days, 5 days, 10 days between losing the adjustment. Once you lose it, you're hurt.
Yeah.
So I lost my ability to do physical work. So I did have an education. I ended up in an office job, but
Okay.
exercise was challenging.
Got it.
So I was 4 years in, I was working in microcomputers. That was back the beginning of the PC revolution.
Mm-hmm.
I was teaching people what word processor was or
Ah.
what desktop publishing meant.
Yes.
Anyway, and I was getting sicker and sicker. And so I was seeing chiropractor, naturopath, all kinds of esoteric stuff, network, chiropractic, and Alexander therapy, and all kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I was not getting better. And it finally, at my low point, it was, come on, you're a systems analyst, analyze this. So I dove into books, and I figured out that the entire medical system is based on symptom manipulation, whereas management consulting is based on cause resolution. As in, we
Mm.
ask, well, what is the cause of this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Doctors don't.
Yeah.
And so I asked the questions, and that led me to, and what caused that, and what caused that, and what caused that. And there it was.
So then
Mercury, the most toxic thing on the planet that you can put inside of a human body.
and that's interesting because that's what especially younger, getting fillings. That's what I got. I think just about everybody got, silver filling
Yeah.
and didn't realize that, how toxic.
Genetics. Genetics play a role.
Yeah.
I'm one of the people who are poor methylator, the MTHFR label, which makes me less able to detoxify.
Uh,
So about, say, 2 out of 5 people here
mhm.
in America are like me. So
Okay.
3 will get nothing serious,
Yeah.
and will get really not so good.
Wow.
Anyway, I'm one of those.
Yeah. And many people don't know why they're having all these other symptoms,
Yeah,
because it's hard for them to trace it back to, the fillings that they have that we've actually have in our mouth for years.
yeah. Yeah, and so what starts happening, the body sees it as toxic, so it
Yeah.
starts hiding it in places of low circulation,
Okay.
tissues, outside of your main organs. It's trying to protect that.
Hmm.
So it ends up in fat, in bone, cartilage, and ligament. So
Mm.
why for me it was the structural part of my body that was going apart.
Okay. So once you figured out and did all this research, what was causing this, then what did you do?
Well, I went looking for what takes it out of my body.
Okay.
Found it, found zeolite, anhumic, and fulvic acid,
Okay.
and used those. And indeed, over the space of like at my lowest, I was unable to lift weights. I was allergic to things. I had periodontal problems and all kinds of other issues. 5 years later,
Mhm.
I was physically fit and I had no more allergies, and I lost maybe 6 inches off my waistline.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Congratulations. That's good. So you went back to school to study functional
no,
medicine? No? Okay.
no. I was married and had children, and I could not put it all on hold. No, I just did it after hours.
Okay.
I mean, I'm a systems analyst. I can read books and
Yeah,
reports and
that's
whatnot.
true.
I don't need to go to school to devise a program.
No, that's great.
Yeah,
Yeah. I know all of us, a lot of us in America and around the world, we're struggling with so many different issues, health issues. You don't know where it comes from. One of the things that I've realized, even within my own body, because when I go to a doctor, there's an ailment, they say, okay, let's just prescribe this medicine. Your blood pressure is high. Let's prescribe this medicine.
yeah,
Why is it high? Because I'm doing this and this. They say, well, probably because it's genetic. And that's how they explain everything, right? And it's so important to be able to not just accept that,
yeah.
because
Let me address it
yeah,
exactly in the way as you're talking about it, which is
yeah,
this: the high blood pressure is actually a symptom associated with a nutrient deficiency, which has a genetic component, but it also has nutritional or food input component.
yeah.
And as you are experiencing the symptoms, they're masking the symptoms with the drug
Mm, hmm.
instead of asking what is the deficiency that we should fix. As in, your
Yeah,
headache is not deficiency of Tylenol, and your high blood pressure is not caused by deficiency in, I don't know, calcium channel beta blocker or something like that.
yeah, yeah.
And so when you start taking the chemicals, they
Hmm.
will cause some wear on specific tissues,
Yeah,
and those will have secondary effects, which will then later lead to symptoms that will be later fixed with more drugs and
yeah,
more, maybe surgery.
yeah,
And, when you have surgery, like hip replacement or something like that, it will reduce your mobility, which will then shorten your life. And
yeah,
so that cycle
yeah.
is, if you only caught it up here as
Hmm.
nutritional deficiency, you would not be in this downward spiral that's taking you into a shorter life. Yeah.
Yeah, that is so true. That is so true. And I find that even with my blood, I don't take blood pressure medicine anymore, but I had to I had to switch doctors and try to figure out then who then focuses on prevention and even looking at what's causing it. You
Right.
know, I was able to get
Yeah.
off of it. You know why? Because I realized it was the stress. It wasn't even genetic, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they do prescribe drugs so easily. One of the things I do appreciate is trying to go to a functional medicine provider that looks at more holistically what's actually going on.
Right.
So that really, I think more and more people should really begin to almost like question the way that whatever's going on with their health and what's going on with our Western medicine. And I mean, it's people have been cured. I know, but it's almost like looking at the full picture and not just saying, okay, let's just, I'm in pain, so let's give me the meds.
Well, and at the core of it are the insurance companies.
Yes,
They are the evil doers here because the insurance company is pressing the doctor to make the appointment short.
yes,
And so the doctor goes quickly
yeah,
to, I can diagnose this like so because the
yeah,
solution is this shortcut. But
yes,
it's not a solution. It's sort of like there's a red light flashing on the dashboard of my car, and I'm going to just put a piece of tape over it and say, we're good. Keep going.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, Martin, talk about your program that you offer then
Right.
for people who are struggling with health issues.
Yeah. So somewhere along the way, about 2012,
Okay.
I got educated and certified in metabolic typing. which is a discipline where we understand how genetics are expressed into nutritional preferences.
Okay.
To give an example, a child is born in North Africa into a Bedouin tribe on an oasis. They feed it dates, figs, pomegranates, camel milk, carb followed by carb followed by carb. Example one. Child is born in Norway,
Hmm.
and the growing season is only 3 months old, and not 3 months long, and the child is being fed dried cod, fresh salmon. In winter, they're killing a reindeer.
Yeah.
They have preserved some cabbage as sauerkraut, and that's the extent of that. Or another one example, a kid from, let's just say, Africa, coastal Africa,
Yeah.
right? That would be fish, shorebirds, bush plants, maybe some cassava, and maybe some bushmeat.
Okay.
No sign of cows, no sign of corn, no sign of frying anything,
Uh-huh.
right?
Right.
So the North American diet now is mostly an Italian farmer diet. We have pizza, calzone, spaghetti meatballs, bread.
Yeah.
That's the diet from Milano and Venice and Firenze.
Yeah. Mm.
Not everybody's suited to that.
Right.
And so now we're mixing genetics, right? The Norwegian grandmother is mating with the African grandfather, and it's just getting together. And so it comes up with something.
Yeah.
So in metabolic typing, we answer two questions. One is the endocrine dominance, which is how the body is going to be shaped and their nutritional preferences and how they will gain weight or lose weight. And the other one is how you alkalize or acidify. And that's driven through macronutrients, carbohydrates, fats, and proteins,
Hmm.
and the mixes of that. And alkalinity is promoting the parasympathetic, the rest, repair, digest. Acidity is promoting fight or flight, the anxiety side of things.
Okay.
So you can have people, they eat a specific meal and
Hmm.
will have an acidifying reaction and will react with anxiety and fear and anger.
Yeah.
And another person eating that same meal
Hmm.
will react with despondence and dark moods
Yeah.
or just falling asleep.
Okay. So is that
So once you understand that, once you
genetics?
understand which type you are,
Yeah.
you can modify your foods and
Okay.
end up managing your satiety, your emotional health, your brain processing power, and the moods, just the general stuff, which is really interesting because I've I've heard that 75% of prescriptions filled by pharmacy today
Hmm.
are for mood altering prescriptions,
Yeah.
either anxiety or depression.
Hmm. And that's the field I'm in. More and more people are dealing with depression, anxiety. Our children are
Oh yeah,
dealing with
anybody.
depression, anxiety. Yeah. And it's increasing. You
So
know.
when you dysregulate the internal pH balance,
Hmm. Yeah.
can be either stuck in one of the two extremes, overly sympathetic or overly parasympathetic,
Hmm.
or you can be actually swinging back and forth by eating the wrong combination of things.
Yeah.
Oh. So
Wow.
that's how I help people figure out essentially a user's manual to their unique body,
Okay.
and they can manage it after that.
Okay. So to walk me through, let's say I wanted to get this assessment to find out what's going on within my body. And
Right.
then I reach out to you. What's the first thing you would actually do?
Yeah. We have an online quiz, about 120 multiple choice questions.
Okay.
Questions like, when I eat a high protein, high fat breakfast, I feel, and
Mm,
that will be sleepy, energized, anxious, and
okay.
extremes. When I eat high carb dinner, I whatever. The food cravings that I experience are mostly for savory, spicy,
Mm,
creamy.
Salty.
starchy, right? There will be choices,
Yeah.
more that than that, right?
Right.
At 8 p.m., I'm looking in my cupboard for a
Yeah.
bag of potato chips, a slab of sausage, cheesecake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
that sort of thing.
So then you get an assessment
Yeah,
from
okay,
this.
so we'll evaluate it, bring it
Yeah.
back, and tell you, okay, based
Okay.
on what you said, we
Mm-hmm.
believe you are, and then I'll be telling you, okay, if you are the thyroid dominant, look
Mm-hmm.
at my body. That's a thyroid dominant male,
Okay.
slender wrists, slender ankles, as opposed to, I would make a quarterback at best on a football team.
Yeah.
The linebackers, they are the adrenal dominant. They're built this
Mm.
deep in their chest.
Yeah.
The woman would look more like Tina Turner than Wilma Rudolph if I were to pick
Yeah.
Africans.
Yeah.
All the Victoria's Secret models,
Yeah.
every one of them thyroid dominant.
Uh,
Gymnasts like Simone Biles or Shawn Johnson,
mhm.
that's the adrenal dominant type.
Mm.
Most of the nerds you see, they have bigger head than what you would expect on the body,
Okay.
and they tend to be nerdy,
Hmm.
as in really smart but not physically particularly endowed.
Yeah.
Even
I
this,
see that.
even distribution all over the body.
Mm-hmm.
If they gain weight, they look like a Cabbage Patch doll.
Okay. So is that like the majority that of them that you find from studying that this is the deal?
Yeah, those are the three main categories, and of course,
Okay.
we all have all three.
Of
But
course. Yeah.
like the Venn
More
diagram,
dominant.
where on the space you are in, not necessarily in the center, you're in one of the
Yeah.
extremes, right?
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So then I get this assessment or this evaluation done,
Yeah,
and
and
then
then you
you
get a
would
one
sort of
hour,
see what would
then you get
fall.
a 1 hour talk with me where I'll help you incorporate all of this into your daily world. And
Okay.
we'll discuss whether you got lucky with the lottery or not lucky, because you can be alkalized, which makes you peaceful, or acidified, which makes you anxious.
Ah,
And you could be losing weight or gaining weight with that, right? So the thyroid type, for example,
mhm.
is gaining weight on starch. The
Mm,
adrenal type is gaining weight on fat.
mm.
So the thyroid type on a keto diet, which is a high fat, low starch diet,
Okay.
will be slim. But if that person is a slow oxidizer, they would end up being depressed. If they're a sympathetic, they would end up being anxious.
Okay.
If they're fast oxidizer, they'll be beautifully balanced and happy. So
Mm,
you need to watch. For some of us, it's a very narrow band of safe, mood balanced, and weight managed,
got
as
it.
opposed to wide band. I can just, I meet people who I'm telling, eat as much fat as you can get your hands on.
Mm.
Not everybody, some.
Yeah. Yeah. So then once you figured all that out for the evaluation, so then is that when you begin to talk about what kind of supplements that they should be taking?
Yeah, right. Yes, yeah, that's related. So depending on your type, you may have a preference for vitamins. One group needs more vitamin B3, 6, and 12.
Yeah.
The other needs more vitamin B5.
Hmm.
One can take vitamin B3 as niacin, another needs it as niacinamide. One type needs more calcium, another type needs more magnesium, potassium.
Hmm.
There are differences. And once you know, then you
Okay.
can tailor the supplement to make sure it's right.
Do you normally recommend that they go and get uh, a blood workup, or checking, just going to make sure what their levels
Okay.
are?
Well, so if you do the basic medical blood test,
Yeah.
will show you whether you have high or low level of inflammation.
Yeah.
Will show you where your blood glucose is. It'll show you A1C. It'll
Hmm.
show you liver enzymes, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So if you have high A1C, that's
Mhm.
a witness to the fact that you are eating more carbohydrates than what your body should be getting.
Mhm.
Simple as that.
Got that. And that's interesting because last year, my A1C went up for the first time. And I was like, what? Wait a minute. That's not normal for me. And I actually had to switch my diet and increase my exercise. And then it went back to normal.
Mhm. Yeah, makes sense.
Hmm.
Yeah. A lot of this. Now, there's, of course, a problem with America because the diet, as we do not know it, we call it the SAD, Standard American Diet.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I'll say it this way. Nobody, nobody should eat refined flour, refined sugar, refined salt, refined plant seed oils, and pasteurized dairy from northern breed cows.
Okay.
Like, don't.
Yeah.
Now, then, so what's left? Organic, pasture raised, wild crafted, non industrial foods that have excluded things like uh, Roundup or glyphosate in their production.
Okay.
Should I talk about why?
Why?
Okay. Uh,
I mean,
Chlorine.
I know I try to keep away from all those things and, and I try to make sure I do the organic and I try to do more
Yeah.
fresh vegetables. But yeah, but talk a little bit about why.
All right. Well, the biggest danger to you is destruction of your inner terrain. The gut,
Okay.
you end up with a leaky gut, which ends up sending underdigested food inside your circulation, which then will put a burden on your immune system, which could be mildly inflammatory, as
Hmm.
in stiffness on rising,
Hmm.
or very inflammatory, which would be high blood pressure, cancer, uh, infertility, I don't know, many different things, headaches, migraines,
Wow.
psychoses, you name it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, milder form,
Yeah.
this. We put chlorine into drinking water to wipe out pathogenic microorganisms.
Okay.
So far, so good. We don't want to poison people with bad bacteria.
Yeah.
But when you drink that same water, you end up killing the inner terrain.
Mm.
So don't ever drink tap water without removing the chlorine first.
Mm.
That's just carbon filter, or even just letting it evaporate for, I don't know, 20 hours.
Wow.
The
So,
other,
so what about if you're not drinking it? Like
what would you be
typical
drinking
water.
instead?
Well, I mean, like in terms of you using water because you're brushing your teeth with the water. Is it
Yeah,
not
that's a nothing problem. It's the when
okay
you drink it. Yeah. Of
when you drink it?
course, when you're showering with it, that is
Yeah,
a challenge because it
goes
evaporates
into
and you're
your skin.
inhaling it, so it's
Mm.
not the greatest.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So then do you
Yeah.
go over some of these things with your clients so they can
Oh yeah.
understand what they
Yeah,
need to
yeah.
do?
We go over
Yeah.
daily, the environment.
Yeah.
Well, let me just finish this one line of
Okay.
thinking. This is the glyphosate Roundup. These days, it's on wheat, corn, lentils, and chickpeas. So your hummus, your dal, your I don't know what, corn chips, and all that other stuff,
Yeah.
plus all the bread and pizza. All of that in America is grown with the help of Roundup, which itself was patented as an antibiotic. The
What is
way
it?
this thing,
Roundup, you said?
uh-huh, the way this thing was works is that it goes to the roots of the plant
Okay.
where the microbes live, and the microbes are the facilitators of nutrients getting into the roots of the plants.
Okay.
You kill those microbes, the plant dies of starvation. That's how you kill it.
Hmm.
Well, when you put that inside of you, even in trace amounts, it does the killing. So you're destroying your inner terrain, you're changing the inner terrain. And we are seeing this progressive shift toward chronic inflammatory, degenerative, metabolic disease in the country.
Okay. So go over
And
the list again. You said wheat and said corn chips. What? Give me a
Wheat,
list.
corn, lentils, and chickpeas.
So even lentils.
Hmm. Buy them organic, otherwise don't bother.
Okay. So it's okay. It's safe if it's organic, but if it's not, that's what the issue is.
Yeah, the issue is the Roundup.
Yeah. Got it.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
Right. So you asked a question that I sidestepped. Oh yeah. So the illness in general would,
Mm-hmm.
in my mind, stand on four pillars:
Okay.
toxicity, malnutrition, stagnation, and trauma.
Mm.
Trauma, well, trauma happens. We all encounter things
Yeah.
as children or as
Yes.
adults, either in
Mm-hmm.
small doses or in one large dose,
Yeah.
but we end up with emotional damage that will affect us and should be dealt with.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Mhm.
do you recommend that for your clients to go for counseling to be able to work through some of that
Yeah.
trauma?
Yeah, my go-to is neurolinguistic programming,
Mm-hmm.
uh, emotional code, and a lot of it is stored in the waters of our body, the soft tissue. Like go
Okay.
for a massage, and somebody's touching your lower back, and you start crying, and you don't
Mm.
know why, but something is being released.
Yeah. I mean, what we do here, is we have various techniques to help people to work through the trauma.
Yeah.
And it may take a long time.
No, that's the thing, right? It's
Yeah.
not to put down the way it's taught,
Yeah.
but it's very expensive
Hmm.
because you need to do 20 and 30 and 40
Yeah.
weekly sessions, and you're trying
Yeah.
to wear it down
Hmm.
a little bit at a time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what we have here. And so, there's a long way to go. I think, this profession in terms of even mental health, there's more issues that's actually happening now. But I truly believe that, with technology, also there's going to be a lot more awareness and a lot more ways to support people. I just
Yeah.
don't know exactly
I'm
how
sure.
yet, but I'm sure it's
Well,
coming.
I mean, you know about these things, you hear about these things, veterans coming back or first responders coming back with PTSD, and
PTSD. Hmm. Yeah.
and psilocybin has been shown to be effective, and yet it's on Schedule One, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you.
Stuff like that.
Mhm. Okay. So then, there's a
Well,
plan.
anyway, okay, let's go over this.
Yeah.
Trauma resolution is super
Yeah.
important.
Okay.
Um, let's just set it aside.
Of course.
Stagnation is something that happens to you when you don't move enough. If your
Hmm.
lymphatic system is not moving,
Yeah.
it's because of lack of movement of your body.
Okay.
And all of the metabolic toxins are passed to the lymph, and the lymph passes it to the blood, and the blood filters it through the organs.
Okay.
So if you have lack of movement, you'll be stagnant, which is not a good way to be.
Yeah.
And malnutrition, well, I talked about it a bit. The industrial food is low on nutrients and rich on calories. So
Yeah.
it's super easy to gain weight,
Yeah.
and not so easy to maintain health and balance.
Hmm.
Mineralization of our soils has been declining. It's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, find ways to get the minerals and vitamins and pigments, especially pigments. Those are the things that protect you the most.
Okay.
Refined foods that I mentioned, the refined flour, sugar, salt, whatever, they are devoid of nutrients.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. And
that,
it's interesting because everything's got sugar, a lot of things. You have to really know how to read those labels. And one of the things that I had to learn how to do was to really look when I'm at a grocery store to really look to see what's in the ingredient, what are the ingredients, and even teaching my child how to look at the label because it's easy, especially whether it's going to school or your friends or the parties, to just gravitate towards the
yeah,
sugar, and it builds up over
yeah.
time, ruins your
Yeah, I
health.
remember looking at apple pie,
Mm.
right? And the apple pie that I would understand would have apple, flour, fat, probably lard,
Hmm.
salt, sugar, cinnamon,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And then the apple pie that's in there with the whole label, you
Yeah.
start reading all the chemicals, the
Yeah.
preservers, the homogenizers, the
Yeah.
this, the that. The language is very complex and the list is very long.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
Right.
And they can be stored for a very long time because all the preservatives that's actually in them.
Well, and so this is the industrial method of making food, right?
Yeah.
And that is both a nice thing because it makes it cheaper,
Mm-hmm.
but the difficult thing because it makes it toxic.
Yeah. Yeah. When
And
I was watching the
that's the last of the four legs,
okay.
toxicity.
Got it. Got it. And I was thinking about when I was watching the Olympics, one of the, a news person was there and she was saying, they don't have these big grocery stores in Paris like they do in the United States, right?
Yes,
Because,
that's correct.
they have all these markets and people will just go to the market and they'll buy the produce, they'll buy their meat, there's the butcher and they're cooking fresh food all the time. And I was like, wow, that's what we should be doing here.
Right. You just said the magical sentence, which is cooking from scratch.
Yeah.
When where you know the ingredients are and you know the name of the ingredients
Yeah.
and they have not been loaded with anything.
Yeah.
It's just chicken, salt,
Hmm.
butter, right?
Yeah. Totally agree.
Yeah.
So
So
Martin, mhm, go
yeah,
ahead.
the toxicity bit.
Got it.
So if you grow plants on
Yeah.
toxic soils, you have
Hmm.
a problem because the toxins get in.
Yeah.
If you further add to it herbicide and pesticide,
Hmm.
you make it even more toxic.
Right. Right.
But it's not just the food, it's the water, the air,
Mm.
also your surroundings, your
Yeah.
cleaning products.
Yeah.
What are you doing with your air? Are you putting in some volatile organic compounds out, like the Glade or whatever, the
Yeah.
air
Yeah.
fresheners,
Yeah.
or the dryer sheets that smell like something that
Mhm.
nature never made? All
Yeah.
of that is adding to the dysregulation of your endocrine system,
Okay.
putting a load on your liver, and all the trouble we now have with people having
Yeah.
early menopause, dramatic hormonal dysregulation, not being sure what gender they might be,
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff.
Got it. So then when you work with your clients, do most of them, if they follow whatever it is that you're recommending, you see a major shift in health for them?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
it's dramatic because when you
Yeah.
change the balance of the macronutrients, the
Yeah.
three, the carb, fat, protein,
Hmm.
that is 1 hour, right?
Hmm.
An hour later, the change is in.
Got it.
When the finer stuff, that's usually a month or two.
Hmm.
And when you look back a month back, you should feel better. And when you look a year back, you should be dramatically altered.
Wow. So how do you what do you do in terms of, because it's not just, it's a lot of different, it's environment, it's making sure that you're eating a particular way, that you are moving your body. So is it something that comes naturally now for you because you've been doing it for so many years? Like how do you maintain?
Well, I guess it would be the power of conviction, right? When you know what's right for you and when you feel better doing what's
Yeah.
right for you, you have the
Mhm.
natural sorry about that.
Yeah.
You have the natural motivation to
Hmm.
do the right thing.
Hmm.
My daughter put it this way. She said, "Well, so if you put on a particular shoe that's 2 sizes smaller,
Hmm.
it will hurt you.
Still hurt. Hmm.
Why would you do that? Will you do that the second time?" Right?
Some people do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, the information is out there. People are told to, change the way they eat, to start move their body, exercising, but oftentimes people still struggle and they may start and then, they go back to what they know. Even though they have different information and that will help them, they still go back, especially in times of stress. they oftentimes will go back to what they know.
Yeah, there's logic to it. And of
Yeah.
course, I mentioned the endocrine dominance. You will seek the food that's a pacifier to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
For some of us, that's good. For others, it's causing problems, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you find that when people will come when they're in a pretty bad state, when they're like got major health issues and they have to change?
Well, it's the preacher invited people to come to the church and pray for rain.
Mm,
How many of them did bring umbrellas?
mm,
The other point I would make about that is that, yeah, pain is a greater motivator than desire.
mm,
Yeah, you would know that well.
mhm, mhm.
So the carrot is worth, or I should say, one stick is worth about a bundle of carrots,
Yeah,
right?
I hear you.
Yeah. So most people that who show up are in trouble.
Yeah,
Really hard to convince the bulletproof, immortal 25-year-old that they should change their ways. They
yeah,
will drink their weight in beer in 1 year without thinking.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it makes me wonder, especially parents, when they have children, because it starts at such a young age, and usually when you're young, it's like, okay, well, I've got plenty time, you know, and when I get older, I can change it, but then you're really forming those habits really early, and it makes me wonder what parents can do to change their own health and actually teach that to their children, despite everything around them, with all the fast foods, with everything that's saying, the candies, you go into a store that's right there in front of the children, to be able to teach them a different way, regardless of what they see their friends doing.
Yeah, that's a tough one. It
Hmm.
is. There's so much peer pressure, and
Yeah.
let's all go have a pizza.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
could
Yep.
you ask for, let's have a non-wheat organic crust pizza, please? Right?
Mm.
And what's the matter with you, Jack?
They say, "What's that?" Yeah. And it is hard,
Yeah,
but it really is important,
yeah,
and I'm hoping that at some point we can just, take a stand in terms of what we put in our own body and how we take care of it. At least have a little bit more control of what we can control so that we
yeah.
can, carry it on and pass it on to our children.
It's a really tough thing. Just take some simple example like water. So
Yeah.
child goes to school, they have these water fountains in there, and you tell them, do not drink from the fountains. It's chlorinated, it's deadly.
Yeah.
So then you give them a bottle,
Mhm.
and then you say, oh, no, no, don't drink of that. That's loaded with BPA. You should not do that. That's an endocrine disruptor. So then you send them with a glass bottle that you have filled at home with your osmosis filtered water that's been harmonized on your water harmonizer, which I can show you one of.
Okay. Yeah, well, but actually, so most plastic bottles, though, they're BPA free. So they'll
Well,
deliver
and then
that.
they are BPS free. No, they're not. They have replaced one chemical with another. On
Didn't know that. Okay.
it's a label. It's
Mhm.
it's a sleight of hand. They were caught with one, they replaced it with another.
Ah, wow.
The answer is do not. Well, for this reason.
Okay.
When the plastic bottles sit on a pallet in the delivery truck waiting to be taken somewhere, it's probably sitting in a very hot, sunny
Um,
day, and they are baking in 140, 150-degree
yeah.
truck.
Yeah.
By the time you get it, they have sat in a cooler, but all the plastic has already leached in.
Mm.
So I don't know.
Oh,
Don't
okay.
make it an everyday thing.
Yeah, which is just it just looking at even my office, because we provide water, they deliver the water, but you're absolutely right. And they are in plastic big bottles that we pour out and drink.
That's probably much better because they get delivered from the factory to you in a van in one day, not sitting in warehouses. It's probably way better than what I just described.
Okay, got it. Got it.
You should sleep okay. But
um,
anyway, so I have these four legs
yeah.
on which this problem resides, right? And so, what all do you want to fix? Well, we need to start with the air. Don't
Okay.
drink air that has mercury in it. Well, how does it get there? Coal burning power plants. So we are now installing scrubbers on power plants, and we're doing so much better than we used to.
Hmm.
But indoor air is pretty polluted, so make sure that you install some indoor filters.
Okay. Or just
Mm.
open the window. Well, we put it outside
Sure,
too,
as
but
long as it's not opening a window on the freeway.
no. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's one. M- Making sure you're indoors, that you
Well,
open your
that's the
windows.
air, right? Like
Yeah.
work with the air, find some ways to get
Yeah.
clean air, go to nature. Trees are the best scrubbers, as
Mhm.
are house plants, right? If you can fill your living room with a dozen or two of plants, they will be naturally scrubbing the pollution out of the air, plus
Mhm.
giving you the oxygen richness and removing carbon dioxide all at the
Mhm.
same time,
So even when we're sleeping, then the bedroom might be a good place to have some plants.
even
Yeah.
there, as
Okay.
long as you can give them some sunshine during the daytime.
Sure.
And of
Okay.
course, yeah, sleep hygiene, that's one of the major topics
Mhm.
too, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, sleep in regular hours, go to bed earlier rather than later,
Mm.
shut down your blue screen and computer screen, make them orange, um,
Yeah.
darken the room.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay.
make the room cold.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah, that would be sleep hygiene, right?
Okay, so
For
that when you're
people,
cold.
especially for people who don't get to sleep easily.
Yeah.
And it's the parasympathetic drive, right? So what should I do if I'm not an easy to go to sleep person?
Mhm.
All of what I mentioned,
Mhm.
plus the most parasympathizing food is chlorophyll. So get something that's leafy green, dark green stuff, or just buy chlorella and eat that.
Okay.
The most relaxing mineral is magnesium.
Mhm.
So rub that on, take a pill.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
And if
good.
you really are stuck, then call me. I have something called cortisol ease, and
Okay.
that's a herbal preparation that cuts the excess cortisol and shuts down the stress side of your existence.
Yeah. And stress is a big thing. I think a lot of people, especially I'm in Northern Virginia, and the DMV area is very fast paced. You're on the West Coast, so I'm sure it's fast paced probably where you are, maybe depending on where you're living, but it can be fast paced, and we're trying to keep up
Yeah.
with everything.
Yeah, you can make your life as stressy or unstressy
Yeah.
as you want, really,
Choose.
anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's other areas that are a little bit more. I know water is a big thing to help me to relax and to be more at peace when I see that. You know,
Yeah.
Sometimes, this area, the traffic, the trying to get from A to B can really be stressful on our bodies.
Contemplate this. You're in your car and your fan is bringing fresh air
Mm.
from all the tires wearing rubber bits on the pavement and brake pads
Yeah.
wearing off metallic hot bits coming into the air, and the hydrocarbons from the lubricants and whatever else out of the exhaust pipe. Ugh.
Don't want to think about that, Martin. But that is the reality of what we
That's the
experience all the
reality.
time.
So,
But thank
so
God.
the interface between the completely rural,
Yeah.
foresty
Yeah.
experience
Yeah.
versus the urban experience. You want to find some happy medium
Got to
where you
figure it out.
do some, Japanese call it the forest bathing. Go
Mm.
for a walk in the
Yeah.
bush somewhere.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I will tell you though, whenever I walk, it feels so much better. I know there's pollution outside, but it feels better than just being in the house, and especially in the wintertime when you don't have your windows open because you're cold
Yeah,
and, just going for a walk is just, this is the time of the year that I
yeah,
like.
indeed. And of
Yeah.
course, you just mentioned, I should mention the most important hormone is called vitamin D3.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
it's the one thing that keeps you immunity and bones and protects you from unwanted growth and all of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the more pigment in your skin, the
Mhm.
more sun exposure you need.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Just gotta wear a sunscreen. That's important.
yeah,
A good one, usually to the
yeah.
organic ones. Okay. So, Martin, if people want to, get their life on track health wise, what do you recommend?
I would say, well, we offer a 15-minute free call assessment.
Okay.
Call in, share your pain points. We probably can find 5 or 6 things that you can change right now.
Okay.
Most of them are food inputs and lifestyle inputs. It
Hmm.
will not cost you more. It will just be a change in how you do things.
Okay.
And then some high grade foods that we do make ourselves that would
Mhm.
help. That's how we make a living here, helping people adjust the nutrients and get the right stuff in.
Okay.
Beyond that, find ways that keep you down regulated rather than up regulated
Yeah.
for the following reason. When you're in fight or flight,
Yeah.
the repairing of your body is not taking place.
Yeah.
You're working on preserving your immediate existence
Yeah.
as opposed to your long-term existence,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is when you sleep or when you digest, when you rest, when you are not watching a horror movie.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. And many people move into flight fight so quickly,
yeah,
and they don't even know they're doing it, and living in this prolonged state of stress.
yeah,
And that's not good for our bodies.
yeah. We
Yeah.
have these 2 classes. We call it the highly sensitive person.
Hmm.
There are folks whose nervous system is tuned up for high responsiveness,
Yeah.
but they suffer more.
Mm.
So we need to definitely help them
Yeah.
find the peace, more of
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Okay. So what
Yeah.
age range do you work with?
Anybody.
Okay. Children,
It's never too
adolescents,
late.
adults. And but even
Most children don't call me. Well, the typical child that would be in touch would be probably on the behavior problems.
yeah.
The whole spectrum from behavioral to ADD to Asperger's and on out.
Got it.
All of that is
Mhm.
an inflammatory response in the brain.
Okay.
We can manage the inflammation.
Okay. So even those with you know, ADHD, all these different, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. We have to
diagnoses you can
manage
help.
the health of the gut. The
Okay.
microbiome is,
Yeah.
if you don't know it yet, Klebsiella and Clostridium in the gut, if overproduced, are producing terrible mental outcome, emotional mental outcome.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you need to correct that.
Got it.
Food inputs. Most kids with these problems are addicted to some foods. My
Mm.
son will only eat cinnamon waffle by the brand of X.
Okay. Mhm.
Right? That's a
Okay.
sure sign that
Yeah.
there's trouble in his gut.
Yeah. Yeah. And then how did you even wean your son off of that?
Well, you don't. You can't really break a bad habit. You need to establish a new
Mm.
healthy thing and allow that to grow.
Got it.
So we will feed the biome, right? We will put humic and fulvic acid into the mix. We will put prebiotics into the mix. They will feed the better bugs, and then we will finally add the better bugs, and
Yeah.
they will slowly just change the profile.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
it does. It happens
You know what? That
all the
makes so much
time.
sense. It makes, and let me, as you were talking, I think about many clients, who might be addicted to something, whether that is, addicted to some kind of drug.
Pepsi Cola with what's it called? Diet Pepsi,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, what is that thing called? Aspartame, or no? They put
Mm-hmm.
something else in there now.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, it's a neurotoxin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? A person who gets addicted need 2 quarts of Pepsi, sugar-free, every day. And
Mhm.
some of them will wake up in the middle of the night and need to take a shot
Yeah.
because their nervous system is giving them a migraine if they
Ye
don't take another swig.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But that's also happening not just, for food, but with technology. But when you talk about,
Oh,
to
yeah.
you
Yeah,
have
now we're
to.
talking about the dopamine and,
Yeah, the dopamine, because honestly, it's not just removing it, it's also putting something in there that is healthier so that they can actually cope. Because when it's pulled, then that's where it becomes the craving starts, or the desire, you want more of it. And so then the withdrawal starts. So they have to be able to turn to something else because they don't know what to turn to.
yeah,
And so, in the same thing, whether it's with sugar, any kind of addictive type thing that's in
yeah,
your body, I see
right.
that.
Yeah, and so, for example, a typical starchy donut craving that happens at 8 p.m.
Hmm.
is the result of protein deficiency breakfast.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you start this, especially the thyroid types, if you
Yeah.
start them off on a bowl of cereal breakfast, you have completely messed up the entire day. If
Mhm.
you start them off on a omelet, a quiche, or something
Yeah.
protein, salad and steak,
Mhm.
breakfast, it's okay.
Yeah.
For those types that need it,
Yeah.
it completely revolutionizes their day.
Wow. And, Martin, that's so important. You know why? Because, you know, growing up, what we did was, it was like, okay, this is what you eat for breakfast. It didn't matter. No one knew what type of body, your body types. It was just really about, okay, well, you have cereal, you have this cereal, or you have this eggs. And I was listening to something one time, and it talked about, sometimes it's really better to even to have a salad in the morning
Mhm.
versus, because everything else will turn into sugar and it slows your whole body down. Whereas when you feed yourself with the greens first, rather than waiting, because that's the first thing you should be even doing in the morning. So it's amazing that when you have that understanding of how
Yeah,
things affect your body,
right.
then
So the
changes can actually
solution,
happen.
so solution that we offer commercially
Yeah.
is a smoothie, right? We have
Ah,
the
yeah.
we have
Hmm.
these concentrates that are nutrient rich,
Okay.
and you can throw it in a blender with a cup of blueberries, half an apple, or something.
Yeah.
Just buzz it up. It will taste quite pleasant,
Okay.
and it will give your day a very different start.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. That is wonderful. So, one last question I do have for you. And since this is your love talk, and we really talk about adversities and how to get to the other side, you went through your adversity in terms of your health, and having that understanding when you get overwhelmed, when dealing with a lot of people, when you feel like, okay, you know what, how do I keep going? What do you tell yourself to be able to maintain what is right for you and even for others?
There are some really cool techniques that will help you may shift out of sympathetic fight or flight into
Yeah.
parasympathetic
Hmm.
rest repair.
Okay.
So the first thing I know my food. So
Yeah.
for me, my calming foods are starchy. So I could go as fast as having a shot of whiskey to calm me down. I don't, but it
Yeah.
would work. But that's for me.
Yeah.
The other type will need to take a shot of olive oil.
Okay.
As far as there's breathing, right?
Mhm.
The box breathing is stuff that's taught to soldiers, which is hold for 4,
Mhm.
inhale for 4,
Mhm.
hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold
Mhm.
for 4, repeat. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4,
Got
repeat.
it.
Just keep
Got
going.
it. Mhm.
Count to 4.
Yeah.
Or belly breathing, diaphragmatic breathing, right?
Yeah.
Make sure that your belly swells out as you inhale and
Yeah.
pulls in when you exhale. Do not breathe through here. That's
Yeah.
not it's not good.
Yeah.
Notice your shoulders if they're rising up to your ears. That's
Mhm.
tension. Allow
Yeah.
it to come
Rolling
down.
them down. Mhm.
Then there's the bandha. Yoga will teach that. Take your tongue and roll it up and press it up against the roof of your mouth. I can't speak when I do that, but
Mm-hmm.
when you do that, it's actually reminding your autonomic nervous system to calm down.
Okay.
So deep breathing, tongue pressed against the roof of your mouth.
Got
And
it.
then neuro-linguistic programming will teach you to create an anchor that you have that will allow you to pull in a mind state that's better. The sure bet for feeling depressed is to stand straight, chin up, and grin. It
Mm,
will totally take you out of depression because you can't be depressed while forcibly smiling with your head
yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Here's
Yeah.
how you get depressed. Roll your shoulders forward,
Mm,
put your
hmm.
head down, and do
Yeah.
shallow breathing.
Got it. Okay.
So there are physiological drivers that you can directly learn to do.
Okay.
Will that do?
Yeah, that's perfect. So then what you really do is you learn those techniques, you do those techniques, and you know how to get back to a place where, you keep
Yeah,
going. I
yeah,
like that.
totally. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Was it something I ate? Was it something I drank? Oh,
Hmm.
yes, that's right. 20 minutes ago, okay, do the opposite, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. It's being able to understand, the root cause and what's contributing to these feelings. I
Yeah.
like that. Okay. So Martin, how do people find you?
The business is called Life Enthusiast,
Hmm.
life-enthusiast.com.
Okay.
We have a channel on Telegram, Life and Co, on YouTube, Life and Co. It's
Mhm.
LIFENTCO.
Okay.
Rumble. Yeah, that's about it, really.
Okay. Perfect. And I'll have that in the show notes as well. So, Martin, thank you so much for this wealth of information. It's a lot. And, but it really helps us to really take stock, take inventory of what we're putting in our bodies, how we need to better take care of ourselves, not just physically, but mentally as well, because they're all intertwined.
Yeah.
And, I know that the audience will be able to really appreciate these words of wisdom, and hopefully we'll take the things that you're saying and reach out. So thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Martin, thank you for sharing your story of how you changed your lifestyle to improve your health. Your commitment to healing serves as a beacon of inspiration for those navigating their journey toward health and vitality. I will leave you with 2 affirmations from my Love Talk card deck. The first is, I impact my world because I have greatness within me. And the second is, I am called to make an impact in the lives of other people. Please remember to visit yourlovetalk.com to purchase the Love Talk Affirmation and Couples card deck and my book, Mended, Healing Your Heart After a Broken Relationship. To follow me on Instagram or Facebook, please visit Dr. Beverly Booth. If you have enjoyed this episode, please remember to like, subscribe, and share it with your family and friends. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode today. This is Dr. Beverly from Your Love Talk. Blessings.